In the 1890s, this was the main road between Stockton and Redcar before the trunk road was built. In 1896, the incumbent of Wilton Castle, who owned all this land, a fellow called Sir Charles Hughlowther, he decided to divert the road around his estate. So he diverted it to the north. You can probably hear the traffic on it now. And he made this road into a drive to the castle from the west, to Wilton Castle from the west. And he lined it with 2 avenues of horse chestnut trees. And where I'm standing on, it was a public footpath. But over that fence in front of me was strictly private. You couldn't get anywhere near there without a gamekeeper appearing. We were in 1945, following the Second World War. The estate was in such a mess from mining and total neglect. They sold a lot. Castle, village, farms, about 5,000 acres, you name it. They sold it to ICI, who wanted a site near the river, the estate near the river, to build a chemical factory. And so this, behind me, suddenly was opened up. You could go anywhere. And these trees, these horse chestnut trees, produce horse chestnuts, or conkers. And as kids we used to come up here and collect them. But gradually the word got round that kids appeared from all places, north, south, east and west, the industrial villages and towns to do with the steelworks. They began to descend on here in ever increasing numbers. Eventually there was hordes of them coming. They used to come with old prams and they'd descend on this. It's about probably 3/4 of a mile long, this avenue. They descend on here, hurling every imaginable object at these trees in order to knock down these spiky fruits, which of course contain the seed inside, the shiny brown conker, which is the name of the game. And they used to start coming at the beginning of December, long before the fruits were even ripe. But if you came up on after a windy October day, there was conkers everywhere. You could pick them up by the bucketful, which kids did. You'd see them wheeling these old prams and pushchairs full of sacks of conkers. You'd see wheeling them away home across the fields, which of course are now all built up, houses everywhere. But in those days, this was quite isolating. Anyway, let's just have a quick walk along. When I was younger, when I lived here, this village to my right here, Lazenby, this was known as the West Drive, and it was pretty well kept. Even when RCI had it, they used to cut the grass for hay. But eventually, costs just wasn't worth it. So the grass was just allowed to grow. And these hordes of kids, they didn't call it West Drive at all. They eventually began to call it Conker Wood. This is the Conker Wood of the area. Let's go along and have a look at it. Well, the trees are very much bigger now than they were, and it's very overgrown. Mainly by young ash trees, it would appear. Well, this is all once carefully manicured, cut grass. Now it's just nettles and saplings. They're dumping around. And it continues along there for about another quarter of a mile to Wilton Castle. So the old road came along here as far as this, and then it used to go down to my left across those fields there. The trees which were in the hedgerows lining the old road, they're still there. When you go down, we can just have a quick look across. The road used to go across there before 1896. So these oak trees are very, very old. You can see it better in this photograph I took in 2013. Nothing to do with Conkers, but interesting nevertheless. Because without the diversion of the old road, there would have been no West Drive, no Conker Wood. This is the other end of the West Drive or Conker Wood. And it leads up there to Wilton Castle, which is now converted into flats. On my right hand side is Wilton Golf Club. Again, you can see there how it's completely overgrown. I've tried pruning these trees. I have an old photograph of this taken in I think it was about 1967, 68, which was black and white, but shows how it was before it went to wreck and ruin. And this is the photograph I was talking about, this black and white photograph I took in 1967 of the double avenue of horse chestnut trees. And it was all well managed, the grass was all cut. Now, as you can see, just a wilderness. And that is Wilton Castle, to which the whole lot used to belong. I don't know who owns the West Drive now, but this is all private flats. They try to keep it very private. Not like when we were kids, running all over the place. The trees are becoming old and beginning to succumb to horse chestnut canker. Many of them are beginning to die off. I've been trying to sort them out, but there's very little you can do. It's a great shame. And this is Conker Wood in 2022. You see that brown patch of trees, how they've been affected by the drought. All the way along there to Wilton Castle. But they still produce lots of conkers. And under this one tree, of the probably 100 or more there are in this avenue, I've just collected these conkers here. Conkers to die for when I was a kid. Spiky fruit. There's two conkers inside it. Amazing. For 3 years in the 1990s I entered the World Conker Championships down at Ashton in Leicestershire. This is me in 1998, number 9. About to get my Conker smashed to smithereens. That's happened on the previous 2 occasions. But the World Conker Championship is still going on, but they've moved to a larger site. They're very popular. It's a good day out. It's a good day out. And these are a couple of scenes taken. People decked out in conkers. There's another official next up with his Conkers and his little shepherd's crook. And there you can see the World Conker Championships web page, and you can still enter. It take place on the 9th of October, which it started off with some blokes at Ashton organised a fishing trip, but the weather was so lousy they decided to play Conkers instead, and it just stemmed from there. It raises money for charity. You'll find a lot more information there. It's not at Ashton now, it's somewhere else, but it's the same part of the world, down in Leicestershire. And it might be worth just having a look at the rules. I won't go through them all. You can use your stop button to read those. The first 5 rules. 6 to 10. Well, old habits die hard, and I brought a lot of these home. I'm going to give it a go. Last played Conkers 25 years ago, 1998. And these are the Conkers you wanted. One big Conker inside. The markings on it. Well, there are 2 Conkers inside the shell. You got a flat edge like that. I seem to remember these were called cheesies for some reason or other, or cheeses. Right, you drill a hole in your Conker, or when your kids just use a nail, careful not to push it through the palm of your hand. Thread your string on. You want a good sized knot in the bottom. And like all of these things, it's practice, practice, practice. So I've set up a Conker about the right height. This is my opponent. And you just practice. Anyway, see if I've still got the skill. My Conker is about to say goodbye. We used to play, for first hit, he used to play paper, scissors, stone. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And you were allowed 3 attempts, and then it was their turn to have a go. And if you conquer one, like my opponents here, it became a oneer. It carried on. If it broke another opponent's conker, it became a twoer. And a threeer, you didn't normally get much past 3. So, and if your opponent had a 3er conker and yours was a 2er, if you smashed your opponent's conker, your conker became a 5er. This game was banned in schools as a sort of health and safety thing, bits of conker flying all over the place. I never remember anyone being hurt by it, but I do remember it being banned at school. And the reason was the place was strewn with smashed conkers, and the old lady who was a caretaker complained about it. And that was it. We had to play outside the school grounds. But it took up weeks. People collecting conkers, threading them on bits of string and smashing them here, there and everywhere. It was a great game. And of course gone, long gone. Apart from the sort of World Conker Championships, there are obviously people still doing it. And what was nice to see was a sizable number of young people. It's a peculiarly English game, although they play it in France. But in other European countries they don't seem to play it. I remember being in Kiev and the place was absolutely strewn with conkers. And when I talked about or mentioned, do they ever play conkers? They hadn't a clue what I was talking about. Anyway, let's have another go. I quite enjoyed that. Shades of my not youth, any younger than that. Shades of my school days. This is a good conker. It's heavy, it's rounded, which is what you want. And I just thread the string through. And we're ready to go again. Well, my opponent's being a oneer, and me just having smashed it, my conker becomes a twoer, albeit with signs of a big crack in the top. So it doesn't look like it's ever going to become a threeer. Hey, happy days. See you again. Bye-bye.